the call for recognition, the indigenous rights of the Montagnard Dega people in Vietnam. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for listening and considering what I am speaking about today. My name is Yuduen Bunda, and I am a representative of the Central Highlands Organization. Today, I am speaking out to call on the Vietnamese government to resolve issues that my people have been asking about for a long time. We are Montagnard Dega people who lived in the Central Highlands before everyone else, so we are indigenous people, not ethnic minorities. Our plea is not just a matter of cultural pride, but is rooted in fundamental human rights and a recognition of the dignity and sovereignty of indigenous peoples. We are asking the Vietnamese government to respect international law regarding indigenous people. To understand the current plight of the Montagnard Dega people, it is essential to recognize our historical context. The Montagnard Dega, also known as the Dega people, have inhabited the Central Highlands of Vietnam for centuries. Our connection to this land is not merely physical but spiritual, as we have cultivated deep-rooted ties to our environment, ancestors, and culture. However, this connection has been continuously challenged by external forces throughout history, including colonialism, war, and government policies designed to assimilate our people into the dominant culture. During the Vietnam War, many Montagnards aligned with American forces, relying on a shared commitment to freedom and resistance against oppression. This alliance led to tumultuous consequences post-war. Many Montagnards face reprisals for their cooperation with the United States, including systematic persecution, loss of land, and cultural erasure. Thus, our struggle is not solely a contemporary issue, but is deeply intertwined with historical injustices that continue to affect our people today. Presently, the Montagnard Dega people face numerous challenges. Land rights violations are a pressing concern. The Vietnamese government has prioritized economic development in the Central Highlands, often at the expense of indigenous communities. Large tracts of land traditionally managed by Montagnards have been appropriated for logging, agriculture, and industrial projects without adequate compensation or consent from the indigenous people. This not only threatens our livelihoods, but also jeopardizes our cultural identity and heritage. Additionally, our people experience systemic discrimination. The government often views Montagnards through a lens of suspicion, associating us with opposition movements and dissidents. This has led to restrictions on freedom of expression, assembly, and religion. Many Montagnards practicing Christianity face harassment, imprisonment, and even violence from authorities. The erosion of our rights creates an atmosphere of fear and silence, impeding our ability to advocate for our interests and well-being. Moreover, access to education and healthcare remains limited. The government's focus on integrating Montagnards into mainstream society often overlooks the need for culturally sensitive education and healthcare initiatives. As a result, younger generations are losing their cultural heritage and identity, as they are educated in an environment that does not value their unique traditions and languages. Our call for recognition is supported by international law regarding indigenous peoples. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, UNDRIP, adopted in 2007, outlines the rights of indigenous peoples globally, emphasizing the importance of self-determination, land rights, and cultural preservation. This framework provides a legal basis for our demands as Montagnard Dega people, urging the Vietnamese government to acknowledge and respect our rights as indigenous peoples. Furthermore, the International Labor Organization ILO Convention number 169 recognizes the rights of indigenous communities to maintain their institutions and customs while participating in the development process that affects their lives. Vietnam, as a member of the ILO, is obligated to uphold these standards, yet the reality for the Montagnard Dega people often reflects neglect and disregard for our rights. Despite the existence of these international guidelines, the Vietnamese government's actions have consistently fallen short, illustrating a gap between policy and practice. Recognizing the Montagnard Dega people as indigenous and engaging in meaningful dialogue regarding our rights is crucial for fostering reconciliation, justice, and lasting peace in the Central Highlands. Acknowledgement of indigenous rights is not only a moral imperative, but also serves as a path toward socioeconomic development inclusive of all voices. When indigenous communities are empowered, they contribute to sustainable development that respects cultural diversity in local governance and decision-making processes. It is essential for the Vietnamese government to realize that respecting our rights and allowing for self-determination can lead to more effective policies that benefit both indigenous peoples and the nation as a whole. Incorporating Indigenous perspectives can enhance environmental conservation, preserve biodiversity, and maintain cultural identities vital to our shared historical narrative. Additionally, respecting Montagnard Dega rights can foster social cohesion within Vietnam, leading to a more integrated society that embraces diversity rather than fearing it. To achieve meaningful progress, the Montagnard Dega people need allies both domestically and internationally. Building coalitions with human rights organizations, NGOs, and like-minded ethnic groups can amplify our voices and raise awareness of our struggles. Collaborative efforts can serve to engage the Vietnamese government, putting pressure on authorities to recognize our rights and reconsider policies that marginalize Indigenous communities. Furthermore, engaging with the international community is essential. Advocacy campaigns aimed at raising awareness about Montagnard issues can garner global attention and support. Strategic partnerships with organizations such as Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and various UN agencies that focus on Indigenous rights can lead to tangible change. By sharing our stories and struggles, we can create a narrative that evokes empathy, understanding, and ultimately action. In conclusion, as I stand here today representing the Montagnard Dega people, I urge the Vietnamese government to honor its legal obligations and respect our rights as Indigenous people. Recognition and respect for our culture, land rights, and self-determination are not just demands for autonomy, they are fundamental human rights. This journey toward recognition is not solely ours. It also represents a broader struggle for justice, equality, and dignity for all Indigenous peoples around the globe. The Montagnard Dega people have a rich cultural heritage and a profound connection to the land we have inhabited for generations. Upholding our rights means fostering an inclusive Vietnam that celebrates its diversity and embraces the legacies of its Indigenous peoples. Let us move forward together towards a future that champions the principles of justice, equality, and respect for all, fostering an environment where the Montagnard Dega people can thrive and preserve our precious heritage. As I conclude my remarks, I thank you for your time and consideration. Let us unite in this pursuit of dignity and recognition for the Montagnard Dega people and Indigenous peoples everywhere.